Welcome, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another in our monthly series of Teaching with Technology webinars. My name is Sam Enneman in the Center for Teaching and Learning, and I will be your host today. So just a few housekeeping items. If you have any sound problems, please do the audio check with the button. If you have any other kind of technical issues during the session, please take advantage of our WebEx support, and that number is 866-229-3239. And if you need to leave the session temporarily, in the emoticons drop-down menu, just click on the coffee cup to let us know that you've stepped away temporarily. And finally, just a few quick guidelines. So if you'd like to ask any questions, I believe that Kiran will tell us, well, she'll tell us how she wants to handle questions. I think we're going to be doing them during the chat today. And of course, so if you have any comments or any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat, and she and I will be monitoring them as we go along. Finally, we are recording today's session, and we will be posting the link to the recording before the end of the week. So I'm very happy to introduce Kiran Budhrani, who's going to be delivering a session, Design Beautiful Course Navigation Buttons. Kiran is currently a graduate research assistant here in the Center for Teaching and Learning, but at the end of the semester, she will be coming to work with us full-time as an instructional designer. So please, everyone, let's welcome Kiran Budhrani.
Hi, Sam. Thank you. I'm excited to join the CTL for the end of the semester as well. Sam, can you help me share my screen, or am I going to do it on my end?
You have the presenter role now. You should be able to do it.
Okay, let me see. I don't think, oh, let me see. Okay. Okay, Sam, can you see my screen?
Yes, and if everyone else can see the screen right now, please, would you give us a check mark?
Okay.
Great. Yes, I think we're good.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So we're going to begin. I'd like to start with asking everyone a question. What's usually in your homepage? Typically, if I've seen faculty create Canvas pages, we often see a course navigation on the homepage. Course navigation includes links to course orientation or a syllabus, maybe a course schedule, the modules, discussion forums or assessments, or any other resources or support that we want to provide our students. Often, I notice that faculty use these links to replace what's often provided or hide what's provided on the left side of Canvas, in the left menu, to minimize the long list. What faculty do is, let's create links on the homepage to make it a little bit more visual. And that's pretty good. Other ways that I see faculty use the homepage is by creating course outlines. So what is being done is the faculty compiles almost like a course schedule in module format or unit format, and they are listed by week, sometimes listed by modules, sometimes listed by units, depending on how your course is organized. But the point is really to create a course outline for students to have easy access and to find information really quickly. Now, typically, when we create such links, this is what I commonly see. When it comes to course navigation, the most effective way to do this is using hyperlinks. And hyperlinks that is the easiest to create are text links. As you see on the left side, these are just text that have been converted into hyperlinks. And these link directly into specific pages or modules or references or resources. Now, some faculty have extended text links into adding images. So they combine hyperlinks and images. And this is pretty good too. But our session today is going to take this look and feel to the next level, right? Sometimes I call level up. Let's level up our homepage. And what we want is to move text hyperlinks into iconic buttons. They're still simple enough for students to recognize what exactly you need them to access, but it's just visually a little bit better. And then from iconic buttons, we're going to cover photo buttons, which I now call photonic buttons. And this is where sometimes you really like to use images, and instead of presenting them separately on your homepage, today we're going to look at how can we create one image with the picture and the text together so that you just have one button. So our scope is basically to create iconic buttons and photonic buttons today. We're going to take I'm gonna demonstrate how to do this using a specific online tool called Canva. Canva is not Canvas. It's a different tool. It's free. It's online, which means you need to have access to the internet while you're editing and while you're creating buttons. This cannot be downloaded to your desktop until you finish creating the button. The program cannot be downloaded to your desktop, but your images can be. Canva is it's an external tool, which means that UNC Charlotte is not providing support for this. It's just an easy tool that I found that I thought would be really helpful for faculty or teaching assistants to use to create visually appealing buttons. So we don't have that support at UNC Charlotte or at the Center for Teaching and Learning, but if you need any assistance after this session to look at tutorials, Canva has very good support guides. So the link is here, support.canva.com. You can write that down just in case you need that in the future.
Could I just say, if for some reason you're not seeing the chat, since Kiran has begun her sharing, if you'll just push your cursor, there's a little green bar at the top of the WebEx window. It says Viewing Kiran's Desktop. If you push your cursor up to that green bar, then you'll be able to click on the participant list and the chat and just pop those out so that you'll be able to see them. And so then I just want to say that I did go ahead and put the link to Canva support into the text chat. So Kiran, we've stopped hearing you.
Okay, sorry. Could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to begin with Canva, sorry. I'm going to switch my browser because it's easier for me to use Canva on Firefox. So when you use Canva for the first time, you're going to have to create an account. And this account is not your UNC Charlotte account. It could be any email that you enter for your own account. It's something like you're using your own email address for Facebook or any other social media. You could use any email to log into Canva. Once you're in Canva, you're going to see an interface that looks similar to my screen. What we're going to do is start by creating a new design. Okay, and Canva gives you all these templates that you could use for other projects, but for the purpose of buttons, we're going to use custom dimensions, which is located on the upper right hand. Now, buttons are best if they're really created small. The prescribed width and height that I use is 200 by 200. So I enter this in the field, and then I click, so it's 200 by 200 pixels, PX, and then I click design. So what Canva is doing now is it's generating for me a canvas or an empty space to design, almost like a PowerPoint slide that's blank. It's very similar actually to how PowerPoint works, but some of the features here are embedded differently. So you just kind of get familiar with some of the features that Canva offers. Now, to create our iconic buttons, if you remember, our button had a border, an icon, and some text. So we're going to start by putting in our border. Now, Canva has some menu items on the left. Under Elements, you would find the shapes. Under Shapes, I would scroll down and look for this border. And it nicely pops up onto my screen. Just to remember, this picture that we're working on is 200 by 200 pixels, which is a very good size for a button on your home page. Once I have my border in place, I could change the color of my border by clicking on color options. So for now, I'd go for green. The next thing I want to look at is icons. Now, I have uploaded my own image icons, so you can download icons from external sites and then upload them in Canva. So you would notice that I have my icons already uploaded. Now, if you might be wondering what would be a good place to find icons, I've used this website called flaticon.com. Flaticon.com provides some free icon packs. So what I did was I typed in university as a search keyword, and it brought up a whole bunch of icon packs that I could use. Let's see if my internet is connecting. Yep. So you will see a variety of icons that are available for you to use. I just click on view 109 more, so I have the variety, and I skim through it. For this session, I've used this icon pack with 35 icons, and you will see that there's a license that's basic, which means you could use it for your own personal use for free. And I just download the entire pack. Now, to download the entire pack, you would need to be logged in. So you need to also enter your email address here to get these icons for free. So I usually create logins and I just download them and I use them across all my courses. So going back, once I have my icons uploaded into Canva, now I want to create my first icon for a course orientation icon. So I select my icon from the list. I think I would like to pick this one. So I just select the picture, it appears on my screen. I now need to resize this. So I just, pick the corner and drag it. You will see as I drag, there are some numbers appearing on the side. The best icon size for me is 80 by 80 pixels. If you can see that really small 80 by 80 on screen, that's fine. But it doesn't have to be precise. And then move it to the center. Canva helps you align this very well. And now it's time for me to add some text. I click on the text link, and I have three major text formats. I click on the body text. So you can see it's very highly templated. I now just need to adjust this a little bit and move it down and indicate course orientation. Now, I could play with some formatting here. I notice it's really large for the icon, so I'd like to resize this into 14 and change my font to maybe antique and then position that. So I have my first icon button ready. Now, if I want to create my second and third icon so that I have a similar set of icons for my page, Canva gives a very interesting feature to simply duplicate. Once you have your first one done, that's the hardest. It needs to be perfect. Once you have that done and you like the look and feel, you just click this little icon on the side below the number. It's an icon for duplicate, and it creates a second one right below. It's almost like a second slide in PowerPoint, but here each slide appears below. I could zoom out a little bit so you could see my two icons on the screen. And now it's much easier for me to go in and make my second one. My second icon would be a syllabus. So I go back to my uploads and get my new icon. I delete this one. And I look for my syllabus icon. Let's say I want to pick this. I resize it again to 80 by 80, which is my favorite size for an icon. Bring it to the center and adjust my text. So what's happening here is I'm duplicating the first one and making 6 or 7 copies if I have 7 items on my home page. And you can do that as many times as you need to, but it saves you time by, restarting from scratch. Your images are all the same size at 200 by 200 pixels. If you remember, without this tool, what we would do is we'd bring in images from the web and we'd have to resize them manually all the time, and that takes so much time, and then the alignment constantly, it doesn't align. You know how it's pretty hard to do that in Canvas. I struggle with it as well. So I thought this was a good way to bring in a consistent size and look and feel. And that's it. Now we have iconic buttons, and you can go on and make the third and fourth. I'm going to move on to creating photonic buttons or photo buttons using the same space. Instead of duplicating what I already have, if I move all the way to the bottom, I can add a new page. So this gives me a blank space. Essentially, I have 2 files, and then this is my third file, right? It's blank. Now, one of the major differences between dealing with photo icons and photo buttons and icon buttons is really that's layout that you need to deal with the photo. So one thing that Canvas offers is a layout feature, which allows me to have a image placeholder so that I can easily drop in images and not have to resize them on my own. So what I do is, for this button, I would click the first one, and it would automatically appear on my screen. And then I'm now going to move into the image I want to use. I've uploaded my images for my course. If you were to do this the first time, you would have to find your images from the web or from Flickr or any tool that you use, and then upload them into Canva and then bring them in. So I have this as my first image. Traditionally, I would have to resize this, but if I just move it, because it's a placeholder, Canva sort of grabs it and puts it on screen automatically. That saves me so much time. Now my image is very well laid out. It takes up the entire button, so it's very neatly done. And now I move into adding my text. Because this is a dark image and it's kind of busy compared to an icon which has a white background, what I do now is to add a background to my text. So I need to add a shape. So I click on Elements, and my shape is already open, but you can click it if it's not open. And I click on a rectangle. It appears on screen. I want to change it to white because I want a high contrast with my background image. And I resize this to the bottom of the screen. Okay. Now, Canva has a great feature for transparency. If you look on the upper right hand, there is this little icon that's called transparency. And what I do is I just put it at 90% so that there's a little touch of transparency, but not too much, so that my image is now almost translucent on my screen. I just put it at 90%. Now I have my space for my text. I go back to my text menu, click on the body text again, adjust that a little bit, similar to what we did earlier. And I add in my module 1. Title is called Intro and Definitions. Again, it's easy to adjust and format text. Just highlight, move up, you'll see all your text formatting options. Because this is a little bit longer, I'd go for size 12. When we start using modules and module titles, we tend to have descriptive titles, so we need to have smaller fonts. But the key is to be consistent. If you use size 12 for your first one, use size 12 for all. So try to adjust along the way and see. Sometimes 12 might be too big, make it 11 or 10. But 12 always seems to be a good standard. You can go ahead and, make items bold as well if you need to. And you're done. If you need to adjust your image because maybe it's blocking, you can click on the image, and if you move up, there's this options to crop, and I could now adjust my image so that it fits a bit nicely or a bit more visible on my button. Once I'm happy with it, I click the check mark, and now I could clearly see the face of this sculpture versus earlier it was hidden behind the text. So that's pretty neat as well. Canva allows you these features. Now, because I'm really happy with this, I'm going to simply duplicate this to create my module 2 icon. See how easy that was? Now I just go into my uploads and get my second picture. My second picture is this colorful one. I click on it. Oops, it went to the first one. I just simply drag it to the bottom. And if I move it a bit around, it would automatically, it should automatically grab. Let's try that again. I click on the image and I click on the second one, and it should automatically replace. See how that was quite easy? So the technique is to click the image that you want to replace and then click on the image itself, and then it will easily grab it. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with this. It's quite visible. I move into module 2 and I just simply change this to the process of art, for example. And I bold it as well to be consistent with my previous module icon. So now we have iconic buttons ready and we have photo buttons ready. I'm going to move now to downloading them or exporting them and bringing them into Canvas. We have about a few minutes left. So the key is to give a file name. Okay, this is your design title. So I just title it buttons for homepage. Done. It's just something that you can click and edit very easily, and then you click on download. Canva will prompt you to select a file type. The PNG file is the most recommended, and then it will ask you, do you want to download all pages or specific pages? So because we want to use all of these buttons, I'm going to click all pages and I click download. What Canva is doing now is it's compiling all of these images and zipping them into a single folder and downloading them for you onto your desktop. So you notice it says buttons for homepage.zip, and I click it, save. I click my desktop and save. Okay, now I'm done. So if I will go to my desktop, it's right here. I have now my 4 icons in PNG format. All of them the same size at 200 by 200 pixels. So now I'm ready to go into Canvas and add this to my home page. Now I change my browser. Okay. So now I'm in Canvas. Okay. This is my page which I'm using as my home page. I've set it up earlier so that I can easily just bring that in. So I go to my page, I click on edit. Now, what the first thing instinctively is you want to immediately go to your page and edit your page and add the images on there, right? But remember, Canvas allows you to bring in images by bulk. So I think we're going to skip edit and go into files. What I want to do, I think, is the better practice is to import all your images and organize them under your files for that course so that you can easily plug them in onto your home page. It also saves you time by bringing them in one at a time. So what I do is, under my course, I'm going to create a new folder and call these buttons for homepage. I'm under files and I click my folder, and now I'm going to import my images onto Canvas. Now it's pretty easy for me to drag and drop this onto Canvas, so I just simply select all 4 of them and drag them in. It saves me time by bringing them in one at a time. Canvas allows you to do bulk upload. Now that I have them on Canvas, I can easily plug them in into my home page. So I go back to pages. All right, and then I click edit. Now, if you were already using links or images for your home page, you know that the best way to do it is by using a table. So I'm going to insert a table with potentially 6 menu items, right? And then I'm going to insert these images in each of these table cells. So I click on embed image. And because I already have them in Canvas, I can look for them under my Canvas link under course files, buttons for home page, and I have my first one. Notice the dimensions are 200 by 200, which is exactly what you use. And then I click update, and it's added onto my page. And I do the second one for the second cell, right? And then I'll put the other 2 images in the next row. Same process, and just bringing them in one at a time. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is going to save this so that you can see how it looks. Right. So now, if you look at your home page, you have now the icon buttons present, and I have the photo buttons present. Now, when you are to make the decision, you have to choose one style. It's not appropriate to mix them up, right? But they look very nice if they're put together in one style. So what I'm going to show you is some finished work. For example, if you start doing several of them, you will have a good look and feel for your buttons. If you have all images, then you have at least a consistent look and feel for this as well. Don't forget you have to place the links to each of these images to each of the modules or sections of Canvas that you need to link to. Some other ideas moving forward is just to create, more colorful buttons. If you want color versus a white button with a border, and you can play around with that transparency that I showed earlier to make your buttons pop a little more. Okay, this ends the webinar. If you have questions, we have a few minutes to get questions. Let me check the chat and see if there's anything that is there. Yulia asked, how do you add a link? Okay, let's try to do that on Canvas. So once you brought in your images, then I'd click on edit, and your image needs to be linked to a particular resource. So what I'm going to do is select my syllabus image, look for a syllabus under files if I have any, and then if you I'll upload a syllabus because I don't have a syllabus right now, right? So let me see if I can upload a document. For example, this is my syllabus. Okay, I upload this. So now my syllabus button is linked to my syllabus file. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. If there's any other question, I'd be happy to get them in the chat. Great, Julia. Thank you for the feedback. If there are no more questions, we have a minute before we end. Thank you for attending our webinar today. Let me see. What I wanted to show you was one more thing. One thing that I want to just plug in before we leave is be aware of clutter and noisy buttons. While, thank you, Sam. While there's a lot of flexibility in creating icons and images in text, be aware that simplicity or minimalism is very good. Crowdedness and busyness is really hard to read. So never do something like this, for example. Just be simple and be neat, and your students will have an easy time as well as you.
We didn't see. You'd have to go back and share. I took sharing away from you for a minute there.
Sorry, let me do that really quickly. Okay. Hopefully you're able to see the never do page. That's all I need to show before you leave. Okay. If you're able to see it, thank you again. And we hope you can attend our other trainings and webinars at CTL in the future. Anna, if you're still around, Anna had a question. Do we want to...
Yeah. Well, yes. Anna did have a question. She wanted to know how to make the lines in the table visible.
Okay. I can go ahead and show her really quickly.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and give you back so you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so you can share back.
Thank you,
again.
Sam. Okay, Anna, to address your question, I'll just wait a few seconds until you can see my screen.
We're good. We can see it.
Okay. If you go to Canvas, and while you're in edit mode, and if you click the table, so on the top you will see table properties. You click on table properties, and you will see a border field. If you indicate a number 1, that means it's going to add a border to your table, okay? So if I click 1, I click OK, right? You will notice now, let me save this so you can see it a little clearly, that this table now has a border. Okay, do you notice that? Compared to my others, it doesn't have a border, but this one specifically has a border.
Okay, great. Did that answer your question, Anna?
Very good.
Okay, excellent. So I know that we're gone a couple of minutes over, but before we end, I would just like to point out a couple of upcoming webinars we have between now and the end of the month. So on March 24th, we have another in our series of webinars based on the book, Student's Pathway to Success, a faculty guide. We'll be highlighting the chapter Learning How to Learn. And then on March 29th, we have another one on research-based best practices in online cooperative learning, so you can learn some good ideas for online group work. And then finally, since we're right at lunchtime, I can't have a webinar without sharing some virtual desserts with you. So if everyone, before we end, if you maybe would type in your favorite dessert, and we will wrap things up. And thank you all again for coming today, and we look forward to seeing you at future webinars and CTL workshops. So thanks very much for attending.